Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer Purcell with Spark Slash Fiction, and we are here tonight with Caitlyn Santi, the author of The Love Struck Librarian from our issue Love Between the Pages. Caitlyn is a librarian by day and a writer by night. She pens short fiction stories from her home in rural Vermont. And when she's not writing, she can be found reading, watching movies and TV shows with her mom and brother, hanging out with her church small group, knitting, spending time with her horse, or gushing about her favorite books on Instagram and her YouTube channel. Caitlyn loves Jesus, audiobooks, dark chocolate, bookish characters, glasses wearing heroes, happy endings, and all things clean romance. She's an indie published author of two novellas and three short stories. Okay, I'm hopping into my favorite question, Caitlin. What was the inspiration behind your story?
Well, honestly, this story was a total God thing. So I have dreamed of being published in Spark for 5+ years now, and I had never submitted because just one thing or another, either I just didn't have an idea or, the debilitating self-doubt, feeling like nothing I wrote could ever be good enough. And
Yeah.
I actually did try to write a story one time for the Chemistry of Love issue back in 2023, and I just wasn't going to be able to get it under 1,000 words, so I ended up publishing it on my blog instead, and kind of a fun one. But so then this summer in mid-August, when I saw the announcement pop up on Instagram for the Love Between the Pages issue, I was like, oh, I would really like to do something for that. I'd really like to submit to that because, of course, anything bookish, I'm like, yes, please sign me up. But I didn't have any idea or anything, so I was like not really taking it super seriously. And then a couple weeks later, I was awake in the middle of the night, and it was one of those times where I was just, you just can't get back to sleep because your mind just won't stop working. And I was really feeling discouraged about writing and even questioning whether God had even called me to write at all. And I was praying and I said, Lord, I want to serve you. And I believe that you have uniquely created me to serve in a unique way. And I want to do that, but please show me if writing is what you want me to do. Please show me. And if it's not, then please show me that. And I laid there for a while, and then all of a sudden, this idea popped into my head out of nowhere of what if she is a librarian and an author? And I was like, oh, well, I relate to that being a librarian and an author. So then the story just started kind of writing itself, and words were flooding my brain, and I was just trying to type fast enough to keep up with it all. And I wrote it, the first draft, in about an hour, I think. So yeah, it was total God thing, total blessing, and yeah, all glory goes to him.
Well, I have to say, it was a good story, and I loved the premise of her, like, kind of not necessarily secretly being an author, because if I remember correctly, she doesn't even have a pseudonym, but she's just
Yeah.
like not expecting someone to check out her book, and I just loved that. It was such a sweet story, and I think you did a really good job combining a few different tropes that people really tend to love. What made you decide on who the hero was and their connection?
I don't know. It just kind of came out. It was just like as I was writing, it was just like, okay, this is who he is, and this is what it's gonna come from. That she's had a crush on him for ages and didn't think that he knew who she was, and yeah, it's just like. And then I was just like, I loved it, and so as I was writing it, like it made me laugh and it made me swoon, and that's never happened to me when I was writing anything before. So I was like, oh man, I love this story. And then I was like, I know I got to give it the best shot I can. So I sent it to my dear friend and critique partner, the amazing Bethany Turner. It said, tell me if this is any good because I don't know. And she wrote back and said she loved it and gave me lots of great feedback. So and I actually hired a proofreader to go over it before submitting because I was like, I want to give this the best shot I can. So I was so beyond thrilled when I got the email saying that it'd been such a huge blessing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hit gold if with your critique partner. I'll go ahead and say that right now. But I mentioned that you had some good tropes in here.
Yes,
So
definitely.
I love talking about tropes. So what is your favorite romance trope?
I think honestly, my favorite is usually friends to lovers, especially um, if they're childhood friends to lovers. I love that. I just the foundation of how they've just known each other for so long and they've seen, the good, the bad, and the ugly in each other's lives, and they just accept each other so completely. It's like to me that's like the perfect foundation for romance. So
Yeah, I have to say I'm a sucker for that trope too. But you said in your bio that you love gushing about books. So let's gush about books for a second. What are some sweet romances that you've read recently and just like really enjoyed?
okay, I came prepared. I have a list. So
Hey!
the first one of my favorite books of the year is called Reverie by Drew Taylor, and it is really fantastic. It is about a woman named Esme who is writing a novel. She has amnesia. About 9 months before the story started, she was left at the altar and she ended up going on her honeymoon to Bora Bora alone. And she got into a jet ski accident and has amnesia from that. So she is now writing this story of a fictionalized version of herself meeting this really amazing guy named Noah and having this whirlwind romance in Bora Bora. But she doesn't know if these are memories, if this is actually fiction, if he is real. She doesn't know. So it's also a novel within a novel because we get snippets of her novel within the story as well, and it's her journey of figuring out, because then she gets an interview with a literary agent and he walks in the door and he looks exactly like her hero in her novel. So yeah, it's so good. I loved it so much. So yeah, highly recommend that one.
Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna check that one out. All right. Are there any
Yeah,
other ones?
I have
Okay, good.
three others, and because we're on a bookish theme here, they're all bookish ones. So the
Yay!
next one I just recently finished is called Juniper Bean Resorts to Murder. It's
Oh,
by Tracy Ruth Mitchell. Yeah, I loved it so much. It's a rom-com cozy mystery and so fun. It had some elements of depth to it that were so great. And yeah, it's just, small town quirky characters, and it's about this author who is a romance writer and she wants to start writing murder mysteries. And so she goes back to her small hometown and meets up with a guy that she knew a long time ago, and they end up finding a dead body and having to solve the mystery. But yeah, very fun. And then I just finished actually yesterday, Hearts in Circulation by the amazing
oh
Sarah
yeah.
Monzon, and just absolutely adored it. So wonderful. It's probably one of my favorites of hers now. Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, I fangirled when we got her because she agreed to write a story that was connected to that book. I was like, yeah.
I'll be honest, I when I found out that she was the featured author, that was a selling point that made me want to submit. So I was like, oh, that would be so cool to be featured alongside Sarah. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
kind of still pinching myself that that's actually happening.
yeah,
But
it's
yeah, it's
great.
so fantastic. And then the last one, I am currently reading a book called Book and Ladder by Savannah Scott, which is book two in her Firemen of Waterford, Tennessee series. And the hero, well, both characters are bookish, and she runs a bookshop and he is a firefighter, but he has a anonymous bookish podcast, and they are very much enemies. They do not get along at all. Well, it's mostly on her side, but yeah, they don't get along. And yeah, so this kind of got the you've got mail trope that they started chatting online through his podcast and they don't know who they're chatting with. So yeah, I just started that today, but again, very super fun.
Ooh, those sound really good.
Yeah. I've loved all of them. So yeah, so that's my list.
Thank you for coming prepared. I love it when they come prepared.
Oh, of course.
So let's get back to writing for a minute because I want to hear what has your writing journey been like? Because you mentioned that you've been writing for a while. Your bio mentioned that you had two novellas, which to me are very hard to write. So kudos that you actually did that because I always want them to be too long. So tell us a little bit about your writing journey.
Sure. So I have been writing for this could be over 15 plus years now. I started writing when I was in high school, and I wrote my first short story and first novella that I published in 2012. And yeah, I did not know what I was doing. I had not studied the craft of writing at all. I just read a lot, and I was like, oh, I think I can do that. So yeah, it's, definitely look back on those and cringe at them a little bit because they are not great writing. So I've definitely, I hope I've grown a lot since then. But yeah, and then I published another novella in 2016, and they're both YA basically. So I've kind of jumped around a little bit. I find it hard to pick a genre, even though I do love romance. I find it hard to pick, and I just kind of go where God leads me with the story. So I kind of write all over the place. But yeah, those ones are kind of YA, and then um, yeah, published a couple of short stories, and the one that would be closest to the romance of the Love Struck Librarian would be my short story, An Awesome Worthy Hero, which is on my blog to read for free. So that one is really fun. So
Wow. So what does your process look like? Are you a plotter? Do you just like to sit down and see where the story takes you, or are you just kind of somewhere in the middle?
I am definitely very much one that just sees where the story takes me. I sometimes I will know the ending when I get started or when I'm, early in the process, but usually it's just kind of like, I get a little bit of an idea and then I just kind of go with it and see what happens. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. Hope has been our website guru. She's been trying to get me to the dark side, as she calls it, and I try and then I rebel. So I can totally understand. So, tell me, what's the best piece of writing advice that anyone has ever given you or that you've read somewhere?
Okay, I think I've got a couple. The first one that came to mind is just just get the story down, just get it out, and then edit it afterwards, and that's where the magic happens. And that for me has been so helpful because I tend to overthink like crazy, and I'm massive perfectionist. So it's like just being able to get the story out there and then make it perfect or as close to perfect as you can later. It's been really really helpful. And then always being teachable and never stopping learning um, is so huge. And for me, I don't know that anybody's ever told me this, or this is just kind of like something I tell myself. But for me, like when I start fighting like imposter syndrome and the comparison game and stuff, I try to remind myself, you can't. It's not possible to be an imposter when God created you as an original.
Hmm.
So I'm like, just remind myself that no one else can write the story that he called me to write. So yeah,
I like that. That's very profound.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me this, you're a librarian, so obviously you're very busy during the day. So when do you find time to sit down and write?
Usually at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have
And
like a little routine? Because like I know some people they have to have like a specific beverage and a snack and some like white noise in the background.
yeah, I wish I was that organized. No, I just, write things down on scraps of paper or type in my phone a lot whenever things come to me and yeah, just make it work and then put it all together later.
I mean, that sounds good. I mean, as long as you got a process that works for you, is what I say. So, I didn't prepare you for this question, so I'm gonna just like spring it on you. But since this is a bookish themed issue, and your story is about a librarian. I'm curious, what is your favorite part of being a librarian? I mean, I'm assuming books is one, but is there something
Absolutely.
else?
I would say getting a chance to interact with the community. It's
Mm.
like I'm very much a homebody, so I don't get out into my community a whole lot. So getting to be behind the circulation desk and just, meet new people in town and chat with people that I've known for a long time and connect with them over books or just, what's going on in their life or whatever that is. That's huge to me. So yeah, I love that so much.
Do you ever meet people where you're like, oh yeah, they're gonna have to be a character in a book?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I will say I have had, because I do have my two novellas are in the library, so I have had people check them out from me and like return them to me before. That has happened. No hot guys, unfortunately, but yeah, it's always an interesting experience to check your own books out to somebody.
Well, I can't even imagine because like when mine went to the library, I kept checking the app like every day to see if they had been
Yeah,
like checked out yet. I can't imagine actually sitting there in the library and like
yep.
waiting.
Yes, it's an interesting thing because and people usually because like I don't like push anybody to them. I just they're on the shelf and if they want to check them out, they can check them out. And then they bring it up and they're like, "Is this you? I didn't know you had books and stuff." And I'm like, "Yes, I do." And I'm so excited to read this. And I'm like, "Well, I hope you enjoy it." But yeah,
Yeah, it's like it's a weird mixture because like a part of you is happy and the other part is like they're gonna hate it. They're gonna
yeah,
hate it. And I'm not gonna be able to look them in the eye for the rest of my life. Um,
exactly. Yep.
but I mean, I'm sure they loved it though. Most people I've noticed that they are very kind when it comes to books, much kinder than we usually are to ourselves, which I struggle with that a lot. But we talked a lot about romance, but I'm curious, do you have a favorite subgenre? Because like some people they gravitate towards like contemporary or historical, and some people just like will read whatever as long as it's romantic. So, do you have a favorite that you always like go toward?
Yeah, I generally go towards rom-coms rom-coms and contemporary romance and romantic suspense. Those tend to be like my two favorite genres that I go back and forth, but I'll read pretty much anything as long as there's romance in it.
Yeah, I feel that. I have to say, sometimes I go on like a rom-com binge. Do you ever do that where you find yourself just reading a whole bunch of books in one genre until you're like semi-sick of it and then you have to like switch over to
Yeah,
something?
absolutely. Yeah, happens to me often.
Sometimes I need the rom-com to balance out the suspense. You can only handle so many dead bodies until you're like, you know what? Let me just this.
Exactly. Yeah, when you start, looking at things kind of suspicious and, seeing criminals everywhere and stuff, it's like, yeah, maybe I'll take a rom-com now.
Exactly. Okay, so before we go, I want to ask you, where is the best place that readers can find you and keep up with you and your new releases?
Probably Instagram is the best place. So.
All right, awesome. And you mentioned that you have a YouTube channel in your bio. Is it under your name, or do you have like a cute name that we can look for?
It's under Chronicles of a Book Nerd, which is also my Instagram handle. So
Ooh, I like that. I'm
yeah.
kind of jealous that you took it first.
Oh,
But I also like your shirt. Can I just say that? That is a
yeah,
fantastic shirt.
absolutely. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah,
Where did you
I
get
got
that
this.
at?
I got it just recently from a shop called Bookworm Word Nerd Designs. She's a bookstagrammer, and sadly, her shop is closed right now. Hopefully, not for too long. But yeah, she was really dealing with a lot in her life and she was kind of following the Lord's leading to step away from it. So I kind of splurged on stuff right before the shop closed and bought all the things that I had my eye on. And this was one of them I was like, yeah, I got to get that. So
Love that. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll make sure to put the link to her story and her Instagram and her YouTube in the description so you can go and follow along. If you have not read her story yet, please head over to our website. You can read it for free at any point. It's the perfect thing to read when you're in line for a cup of coffee. I hope y'all have a wonderful week and don't stop reading.